The DEA says this man is a major part of the problem.
He's got an enormous amount of weapons, RPGs.
A mandar fuego, Mencho.
Mexican cartels are deadly, and everyone knows not to mess with them. But those who don't learn the hard way, just like the influencers in this video. Let's get into 7 TikTok and YouTube stars who got murdered by the cartel. Rodolfo Marquez, Fofo. Rodolfo Marquez, popularly known as Fofo Marquez, was born in 1997 into a wealthy family. His dad was one of the owners of Total gas station in Mexico, so he never lacked anything growing up and was not humble about it either. He was known for displaying his lavish lifestyle on social media and even got the nickname Millionaire Boy. The videos he posted earned him millions of followers on Instagram and TikTok, so he was kind of an influencer. But Fofo was also reckless and thought that his family's money would get him out of any jam. And in most parts, it did. That is, until he messed with one of the most notorious and dangerous cartels in Mexico, the CJNG. If you don't already know about this, the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, or CJNG, is one of those criminal syndicates that you don't want to be messing with. They're known for their extreme use of violence and public relations campaigns. They kidnap, torture, and do inhumane things to their enemies. And it doesn't matter who you are. Its leader, Nemesion Oseguera Cervantes, aka El Mencho, has been described as a devil in human form and would kill for even the slightest provocation.
The DEA says this man is a major part of the problem. He's a rising Mexican drug lord named Nemesion Oseguera Cervantes, known simply as El Mencho.
When they first came into the picture in 2009, they called themselves Meta-Zetas, which translates to Zeta Killers, and declared war on other major cartels. Mexico started witnessing more murders and violence than ever before.
El Mencho's cartel is responsible for roughly a third of the drugs entering this country by land and by sea. He has a $10 million bounty on his head. Ironically, he lived in California some 30 years ago, where he was arrested on drug charges and eventually deported back to Mexico.
He's got an enormous amount of weapons, RPGs, 50 calibers weapons that basically has his own SWAT teams.
From shooting down a Mexican Army helicopter, killing 6, to being implicated in a public hanging this summer, El Mencho protects his empire with impunity.
On September 20th, 2011, 2 trucks containing 35 dead bodies were found at an underpass near a shopping mall in Boca del Rio, Veracruz. All of the corpses were alleged to be members of Los Zetas, but it was later proven that only 6 of them had been involved in minor crime incidents, and none of them were involved with organized crime. Some of the victims had their hands tied and showed signs of having been tortured. The message left behind read, "No more extortions, no more killings of innocent people. Zetas in the state of Veracruz and politicians helping them. This is going to happen to you, or we can shoot you as we did to you guys before too. People of Veracruz, do not allow yourselves to be extorted. Do not pay for protection. If you do, it is because you want to. This is the only thing these people, Los Zetas, can do. This is going to happen to all the Zeta who continue to operate in Veracruz. This territory has a new proprietor, Cartel Jalisco New Generación. Despite claiming that they were only targeting members of the Los Zetas cartel, more and more innocent people continued to die.
35 bodies dumped underneath a bridge in eastern Mexico. Veracruz was a quiet port city. Now dead men and women are dumped near shopping centers.
By October 9th, 2011, in only 18 days, the state of Veracruz reported 100 killings, all of which were carried out by members of the CJNG. So now that you get the picture of how dangerous this cartel is, let's continue. On July 14th, 2023, Fofo and his friends decided to jump on a TikTok trend that involved dancing on a busy highway. So they went to the Guadalajara Bridge and parked their luxury cars on the road, blocking traffic. Fofo then took his phone and began recording, saying he was rich and powerful enough to shut down any place he wanted.
Lo andamos cerrando para nosotros. Esto es lo que quiero demostrar, lo que puede ser el dinero y el poder. O sea, literal lo cerré aquí porque yo quise iluminar y llevamos varios minutos aquí. Voy a hacer unos pequeños TikToks
When he shared the video on TikTok, it went viral, getting over 10 million views in just 24 hours. A lot of people were outraged by his behavior and condemned his actions, calling him stupid for blocking the bridge. The mayor of Guadalajara even threatened to sue him for disturbing the flow of traffic. The next morning, Fofo's TikTok account was suspended and the video was taken down. This was probably due to the many complaints that were raised against him. Realizing his mistake, Fofo posted an apology on another social media platform. He admitted that the stunt he pulled was childish and stupid and agreed to pay the fines that were required of him. The mayor accepted his apology, but as punishment, he was required to complete several hours of community service by cleaning below the same bridge he had blocked. Fofo agreed to this and thought that the whole thing was now behind him, but it wasn't. Fofo's stunt on the bridge had disrupted the CJNG's operations, and they were not happy about that. So on July 2023, Fofo received a chilling message from an anonymous Facebook page that read, "To you, Fofo Marquez, we will tell you to be careful because we will not let you come to Guadalajara thinking that you could do whatever you want. Here in Jalisco, the boss is El Mencho. If we see you again in Guadalajara, we will kidnap you, and not even all the money you have will help you." The message went viral on social media, with many doubting if it was really from the CJNG. But whether the message was real or not did not matter to Fofo. He was not taking any chances with his life, so he apologized to the cartel online and went to his parents' mansion in Mexico City to hide. And even while there, he could not leave the house and hired 30 bodyguards to protect him 24/7. While Fofo did escape with his life after messing with the CJNG, this next teenager would not be so lucky. Juan Luis Laguna Rosales. Rosales was only 17 years old when this tragedy happened. He had grown up in a poor, dysfunctional family in Sinaloa before he decided to move to Culiacan at the age of 15 to seek his fortune. The fortune came much faster than he had expected, but sadly, he would not live long to enjoy it. Juan Luis became famous when a video started circulating on social media showing him chugging a bottle of whiskey until he passed out. He got the name El Pirata de Culiacan, which translates to the Pirate of Culiacan, because of his heavy drinking and party life. His social media pages were filled with videos of him chugging all manner of alcoholic drinks and partying his life away. He started gaining followers who enjoyed watching his drunken antics. By the time he turned 17, Juan Luis had hundreds of thousands of followers on his Instagram and over 1 million followers on Facebook. This newfound fame got him spots on music videos, exclusive parties, and promotional events. But the more famous he got, the more pressure he felt to keep his social media followers entertained. And this is what led him to do the most unthinkable thing: insult El Mencho.
Papas, yo también puedo atraer lo que a ti que el Mencho a mí.
This basically translates as El Mencho, suck my d***. Juan Luis probably said this as a joke to entertain his followers and maybe go viral on social media. Sadly, it would end up costing him his life. On December 18th, 2017, Juan Luis was hanging out at a bar in Jalisco when a group of armed men stormed in and opened fire, aiming at him. His body was destroyed with at least 15 bullets, and he could only be identified by the tattoo on his arm. Now, after such an incident, you'd think that people would learn not to insult a notorious crime lord, but this next teen never got the memo. El Chanito de Culiacan. El Chanito de Culiacan was born in Culiacan, Sinaloa, a city known for being the birthplace of many drug lords and cartels. And although his real name is unknown, he adopted the nickname Chanito, which means little kid in Spanish. He became famous on social media for posting videos praising organized crime and narco culture, and even bragged about being connected to the powerful Sinaloa cartel. He also shared explicit videos on YouTube, which gained him a lot of fans and some enemies. One of the biggest rivals was Juan Luis, or El Pirata, whom he would often mock and make fun of. After El Pirata was killed, El Chanito decided to say something. He posted a video threatening El Mencho and saying that he wasn't afraid of him or his men. He claimed that he had the support of the Sinaloa cartel leader El Mayo. Needless to say, the video went viral and many people called him out for his stupidity. Realizing his mistake, El Chanito made an apology video a few days later. He appeared scared and nervous as he begged for El Mencho's forgiveness. He said that he made a mistake and didn't didn't want any trouble with him or his cartel. He also clarified that he was not really part of the Sinaloa cartel, but just a fan of narco culture. However, it seemed the apology didn't, as El Chanito disappeared from social media. Many thought he had been murdered, but this was confirmed later when a graphic video surfaced showing him being decapitated by a CJNG sicario. But even this was not enough to stop the next teen from doing the very same thing that his peers were getting murdered for. Illuminati 6.
Mira bien, hijo de tu perra madre. A mí me pela la verga el Mencho. Aquí si no 20, yo no me duermo como el pirata o el Chanito de Culacán. Yo soy inmortal, yo soy intocable y yo soy un pato con el diablo, cabrón. Así que si no sabes de mí, de existencia, yo te vine a mandar fuego. Mencho.
At this point, I think some people just have a death wish because there's no way you would go out and do something this stupid, knowing very well what the consequences would be. This teen, only known by his TikTok handle Illuminati6, probably wanted to go viral and become famous like El Pelata and El Chanito. He forgot that the two ended up paying with their lives. It was not even his idea. He was taking dares from his followers, and one of them dared him to insult El Mencho, and he did. And as you'd expect, the video blew up. Many people were shocked by his guts and courage and thought that he must be a member of a cartel to say something that bold while showing his face. Others said that he was just stupid. However, there were some speculations that the teen was not even in Mexico and was actually living in the US, so it would be hard for the cartel to get to him. But a few days later, the teen made an apology video saying that he did not mean what he said in the video and that he had mental problems.
Para el señor Mencho, pido disculpas, lo que dije no estaba bien, no estaba consciente de lo que estaba diciendo. Estaba mal, ese día amanecí bien pendejo, no me di las consecuencias, me dejé llevar por los seguidores y pido disculpas, se te quiere, a ti y a tu familia. Y Mencho, no me mates, cabrón.
The internet went into a frenzy when this apology video dropped, with some wondering what motivated this change of heart. There was speculations that maybe El Mencho or his men threatened the teen, making him scared for his life. Or the teen just realized that he was putting his life in danger with his actions. The teen later made his account private, and there hasn't been any more information about him. Leslie Ann Pamela Montenegro. Leslie Ann was a journalist and satirist who gained fame on social media through her comedy. She had a YouTube channel called El Sion TV, where she would post videos criticizing and making fun of the local government. She wore a big wig and glasses to create her online persona, La Nana Palucas, which translates to the grandma in wigs, and used comedy to call out corrupt officials in the government. But unfortunately, in countries like Mexico, speaking out against politicians or cartels is like signing your own death warrant. Leslie's tragic end began when she began exposing a certain politician who was reportedly linked to the local cartel, known as the Independent Cartel of Acapulco. Soon she began receiving death threats, banners accusing her of collaborating with rival cartels to expose the Independent Cartel started showing up at the restaurant she co-owned with her husband. Although Leslie denied these allegations, the threats never stopped. That is, until February 5th, 2018, when two men walked into her restaurant and fired twice at her face and stomach. She was pronounced dead at the scene. One man, identified as El Pepes, a member of the Independent Cartel of Acapulco, was soon arrested in connection with the murder. But in a shocking turn of events, the presiding judge on the case dismissed the charges against him, saying there wasn't enough evidence to convict him. This was strange because the Attorney General of Guerrero had said that there was evidence showing that Pamela was targeted because she had obtained sensitive information about the cartel, and that her murder was ordered by a guy called Javi Daniel Cervantes Magno, who was the leader of the criminal organization. Still, Javi Daniel remained free, and there was no other arrest made in the case. This led many to believe the cartel was controlling the government and the judicial system. The Committee to Protect Journalists, CPJ, tried following up on the case, but the Attorney General's office kept taking them around in circles.
Hemos querido preguntar al fiscal Javier Olea, normalmente nos responde las llamadas, las entrevistas. Esta vez no hemos tenido éxito. Yo supongo que tú ya hablaste con el gobernador, que ya te recibió el fiscal.
Unfortunately, corruption is a major issue in Mexico, and Acapulco is one of the most affected places. In 2017, it was even named as Mexico's murder capital. Leslie tried exposing this in hopes that it would be some changes, but sadly, she ended up paying with her life. El Compa Jorge. El Compa Jorge was a 36-year-old YouTuber who lived in Culiacan, Sinaloa. He made a name for himself by posting about his luxury cars, adventures, and lifestyle. While this did get him thousands of followers, it also caught the attention of some really bad people. And in 2021, Jorge shared a pretty terrifying ordeal that he had experienced.
Porque les voy a platicar una anécdota que me pasó. Pues les voy a platicar más o menos la historia de cómo me levantaron aquí en Culiacán, pues.
Apparently, he was taking some friends home after a night out when he decided to stop the car and relieve himself. Suddenly, another car pulled up beside him and an armed man got out and robbed him before forcing him into the car. He was blindfolded and taken to an identified location where the kidnappers began interrogating him about the source of his money. Jorge told him that he owned a tortilla shop, but that the men didn't believe him and thought that he was connected to the Beltran-Leyva cartel. Jorge denied any association with the cartel, but the men continued tormenting him and subjecting him to all manner of psychological and physical torture. Jorge was convinced that he would not get out of the place alive, and he begged the men to at least leave his body outside his house where his family would find him. Surprisingly, the men did let him go, but the experience left him completely traumatized, and he could not leave the house for months. In the video, Jorge went down memory lane and drove back to the place where he was kidnapped, despite feeling uneasy about it. Several months after uploading the video, Jorge uploaded another video, talking about a time when he unknowingly spoke with one of El Chapo's sons. Some people have speculated that this might have caught the attention of rival cartels who thought that he was associated with the Sinaloa cartel. So, on April 18th, 2022, Jorge was leaving his home while making a video talking about his plans for the day. All of a sudden, a car pulled up carrying several armed men who started firing at him. He was hit multiple times and died in the ambulance while being rushed to the hospital. Many have wondered why Jorge stayed in the state or the country after the kidnapping experience, and why he made a video about it, even going back to the very same spot where he was kidnapped. Kidnapped victims in Mexico don't usually live to tell the tale, and Jorge was testing fate by going back there. Super Chinelo. Super Chinelo, whose real name was Ruben Ortega, was a 45-year-old YouTuber and TikToker from the vibrant town of Iztapaluca. He had made a name for himself by promoting the rich traditions and culture of his hometown, often live streaming events and festivities happening in his community. His distinctive red mask and enthusiasm in his heritage earned him a reputation as a cultural promoter of the region, and everyone there seemed to like him. However, on the afternoon of August 31st, 2022, Ruben was outside his home in Iztapaluca with his wife and 4-year-old son when a group of armed men drove by and started firing at them. Ruben died at the scene, while his wife was left injured and his son traumatized. The motive for Ruben's murder has never been established, but there are some speculations that it may have something to do with his previous social media posts, in which he criticized the Mexican political organizations. The news of his tragic death was announced on his official Facebook page and received a lot of reactions. What do you think about these cases? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell button.